Hey guys, it's me, Veles-Sage. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the most powerful and iconic Avengers members, Monica Rambeau. Now, I am not kidding when I say she's one of the most powerful Avengers, or even one of the most powerful heroes in all of Marvel. She is one of those heroes with a plethora of abilities that stem from a single power that makes her someone who you would want for your team, not just in terms of raw power, but also because of how versatile her abilities are. I remember doing research into her and her abilities and just being amazed at how incredible she is, and I had become a hardcore Monica fan. So for those of you who don't know this woman of many names, let me tell you a quick overview of her origin and her abilities, as well as what we could hope to see from her in the MCU. She first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man Annual Volume 1, Issue 16. Born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, she is the daughter of Maria Rambeau, a seamstress, and Frank Rambeau, a firefighter. Monica was a lieutenant in the New Orleans Harbor Patrol, operating as a cargo ship captain. An old friend of her grandfather, Professor Andre Leclerc, came to her for help. As an expert in advanced physics, his theories caused him to be ridiculed by his peers, but a South American general named Ernesto Ramirez gave him the money he needed for his projects. But Andre was either too trusting or didn't care to do a proper background check on his benefactor, who, as it turned out, was a dictator. When Andre began creating a device to draw energies from other dimensions, Ernesto planned to weaponize it, causing Andre to flee, but Ernesto used Andre's old partner, Felipe Picardo, to create a device based on Andre's work on an oil rig on the Gulf of Mexico, and Andre came to Monica for help. So Monica, being the awesome person she is, decides to help him. They sneak out on a boat to the oil rig, and she has him hide below deck while she distracts the guards who come out to greet them. She tells them that the old oil rig crew would let her come out to the platform to sunbathe, and she takes off her bathrobe, revealing swimwear to charm them. And, well, it works, with Picardo himself offering to take responsibility for her. A clever move? Or Cretaceous fan service? You be the judge. No, I'm not going to show you what it looks like. Look it up yourself. Eventually, the alarms go off and Felipe suspects Monica is involved and brings her along, and they find Andre in the control room, having been caught trying to deactivate the machine. Felipe reveals the device has the power to obliterate cities and is about to demonstrate its power before Monica knocks him aside and starts wrecking the controls. There is a massive explosion and a new hero is born. As a beam of light, Monica travels back to the mainland and radios for help. She tries to figure out how to return to Andre, but with that thought, she once more finds herself in the control room with a hole into another dimension. After having saved Andre from Felipe and using her powers to close the hole, she helps Andre and the two of them escape. After 2 days of experimenting, Andre discovers the accident has given her the power to transform to any kind of energy and encourages her to become a hero, to which she's quick to agree. After turning in her badge, she embraced her role as the new Captain Marvel. However, she would soon seek out the aid of Reed Richards as her power was acting up. After an unfortunate run-in with Spider-Man, she made her way to the Baxter building where she met the Thing, who informed her Reed wasn't home at the moment, but advised her to visit the Avengers. She traveled through the Baxter's communication line to the Avengers mansion. Unfortunately, her powers not only fried the mansion's electronics, but also Iron Man's suit. Spider-Man arrived, having followed her and attacked her, but Iron Man and Wasp arrived to explain the situation to him. Spider-Man works with Iron Man, and together they are able to help channel the extra power out of her safely. And after a talk with the Thing, who encouraged her to use the Captain Marvel mantle, Monica decides to join the team as a trainee. She would be mentored and tutored by both Captain America and Wasp, and after aiding them against several foes, she would become the team's first African American heroine, and would eventually take over the Wasp's role as team leader. Sadly, when Namor's wife, Marina, transformed into a monstrous beast, the team was forced to hunt her down. Monica transformed into a massive bolt of lightning to stop Mariana, but made contact with the water, which dispersed her atoms. Luckily, she was able to reform her physical form, but she was very frail and had lost her powers. Luckily, she was able to both recover physically and her abilities, and resumed her life as a crime fighter. She served as a reserve member of the Avengers and would at times take a more leading role. When the original Captain Marvel's son Genesis took his father's mantle, Monica was resentful, but after working together and he realized she was worthy of the title, he decided to let her have it. But Monica, having seen him in action and understanding why he wanted the title, relinquished it and took on the name Photon. Until years later, when Genesis decided to take the name Photon himself, though he apologized to her, admitting he didn't know it was taken, which is kind of odd seeing how he was right there when she took the name herself, she once again relented and took the name Pulsar. Honestly, she was too nice for her own good, because Pulsar just doesn't have a nice ring to it. She would then join up with a group called Next Wave, which was formed by the organization Hate, a subsidiary of the Beyond Corporation, though later events imply these memories were implanted in her mind by the Beyond Corp. After many more adventures, she would take on the name Spectrum and would join the Mighty Avengers and later the Ultimates and Strike Force. It was during her time with the Mighty Avengers that she began to develop a romantic relationship with Adam Brashear, aka the Blue Marvel. Now, Monica is both a historic character and a powerful hero in her own right, as she was the first female Black Avenger and would even lead the team, and she also has an immense amount of power. Though she enjoyed a good amount of time in the spotlight in her early days, she became a background character, making appearances here and there. What's worse, she's only had one comic series and it only went on for like 2 issues. Even worse, she's yet to appear in any Marvel cartoon or game. But luckily, her popularity has gotten a boost when she joined the Mighty Avengers in 2013, and in 2019 when both she and her mother appeared in the Captain Marvel movie. Maria was played by Lashana Lynch, and instead of a seamstress, she's a former Air Force pilot who was best friends with Carol, and Monica is played by Akira Akbar. At the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con, it was announced that Monica would appear as a grown woman played by Teyonah Parris in the Disney Plus show WandaVision. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her gain her powers in WandaVision, since she ascertained them from another dimension, and reality warping will be playing a role in the show. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happens, like Wanda's messing with reality or trying to open a hole to a dimension, and maybe some energy spills out and Monica gets hit with it, and that's what gives her her powers. As I said before, she has a ton of abilities, all of which stem from her power to transform into different kinds of energy. Electrical, photonic, X-ray, gamma, radio waves, and more. She even managed to duplicate the energy of the Green Lantern's power ring in the Justice League America Avengers crossover. When she transforms into specific energy, she gains that energy's properties. This can let her do things like fly and move at speeds that exceed light. She was fast enough to outrun the god Hermes and travel as far as Pluto, though that took her some time due to Pluto's distance from Earth. She can alter her body to move through solid matter or have things like bullets and attacks pass right through her, so she is immune to physical and certain energy attacks. This also allows her to pass through superhuman barriers like Magneto's magnetic shield or even the Invisible Woman's force fields. By altering photons, she can create holographic illusions to fool her opponents, or alter her appearance to resemble someone else, and can even alter her size to be tiny or the size of a giant. Now, since she is capable of projecting blasts of energy equivalent to 300 tons of TNT explosive force, she can also control and manipulate various types of energy, like absorbing it and siphoning it. She can even transform into hard light to physically interact with objects and people, and during the events of Jonathan Hickman's Secret War storyline, she was going to destroy the Earth from the Ultimate Universe by hitting it at light speed as hard light, but seeing a group of kids caused her to pause long enough for that world's version of Reed Richards to capture her. I mean, I know there are tons of characters in Marvel that can wipe out a planet, but the fact Monica can do it before a person even blinks is kind of terrifying. Now, the accident completely altered Monica, so even when she appears human, she is actually still in a light form, and thus she perceives the world differently from regular people. Blue Marvel theorizes she has a form of cosmic awareness, which let her know eternity was captured by the first firmament, and also gave her a photographic memory. As a being of living energy, she is immortal, at least in the way she doesn't age and can't be killed through conventional means. One trick she likes to do is fly through a person's eye and enter their brain to incapacitate them, or in the case of Shuma-Gorath, she was able to blow up his physical body after the mighty Avengers disrupted his astral form to keep him from reforming one of his avatars. But one of the coolest things she can do is she can merge with certain characters by transforming into energies that empower them. She turned into gamma radiation and merged with Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk, and gave her a massive power boost. She did the same thing with Captain Marvel, since in the comics, Carol can absorb energy in order to help her destroy a giant robot. She merged with Blue Marvel in a similar fashion, and with their powers combined, they were godlike. She has also merged with the Vision in order to check and make sure he didn't have any malfunctions going on inside his body, by turning into electricity and going inside him. She can also mentally connect a group of people by turning into neural energy and helping them to quickly share and process information. Like, forget Cerebro, Xavier needs to hire her. Imagine if she did this with like Jean, Emma, Betsy, Xavier, and a whole bunch of other telepaths, because guess what? She's also able to turn into psionic energy. Even without her powers, she's a great fighter. Her time with the Coastal Guard made her a pretty good fighter, and her skills were further honed during her time with the Avengers, where she trained with Captain America himself and proved to be highly skilled and adaptive. While she is a powerhouse, she does have certain weaknesses and limitations. One of them being she can only become a single kind of energy at a time. She can't combine energies or make different parts of her body transform into different types of energy. So she can't become like some kind of chimera composite being of like electromagnetic, gamma, and X-ray, and so on. She can just do one form at a time. She doesn't have to transition though. She can immediately jump from one form to another, so she can quickly go from X-ray to gamma to whatever she wants. Another example is like when I said earlier, when she turned into a massive lightning bolt. When she fought Mariana, and when she touched the water, it almost killed her. Even afterwards, she was severely weakened. So depending on the type of energy she has turned into, any materials that could inhibit or affect it in a way that could cause a similar dispersal could be dangerous for her. Now, while she has the ability to become just about any kind of energy, she can only transform into something she is familiar with. So if she is attacked with a kind of energy she has never encountered before, it could be used against her, or used to contain her, but given enough time to analyze it, she could copy it. Also, she doesn't do good with magic. The energies of mystical beings can throw her off and affect the effectiveness of her attacks. When she fought Proxima Midnight during the Infinity events, Proxima infected her with anti-photons, which would have killed her had she not been saved by Blue Marvel, who also managed to give her a power boost while he used his powers to remove the anti-photons from her. Now, if she does take on the superhero name in the MCU, I wouldn't be surprised if she takes on the name Photon, because in the Captain Marvel movie, that was her mother's code name and was on the side of her plane when she was in the Air Force. I could go with Spectrum, but please don't have her go with the name Pulsar. That just doesn't sound cool. Also, I'm sure they're going to nerf her in terms of power because, let's face it, she is totally OP. And they tend to do that in the MCU. Like, even Carol, who is said to be like the most powerful being in the MCU at this point, lacks some of her comic version's power levels and abilities. I'm looking forward to seeing how they adapt her power in the MCU and how it will look in terms of aesthetics, plus how her costume will appear and how much inspiration from the comics they will use. I hope they keep her ability to merge with certain characters. I mean, imagine how awesome it would be if she did that with Carol, or She-Hulk, because as we know, she will be getting her own Disney Plus show, so seeing her turning into gamma radiation and then fusing with her to give her a power boost would be like super cool. Outside of her appearance in WandaVision, we don't know when she will appear next in the MCU, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in the next Captain Marvel film fighting alongside Carol. That dynamic and connection they have would be great to see with them fighting side by side when she's an adult and everything. Like, she's no longer like, you know, a little girl, Lieutenant Trouble. Like, she's a powerful warrior just like Carol, and they're just taking enemies out. Oh, that would be epic. I really am looking forward to Monica taking a big role in the MCU. She has a strong fan following, but she deserves more attention, and I would also love to see her appear in Marvel games and cartoon shows. She's a woman of color, she is powerful, and she's the first black woman to join the Avengers and was even team leader. Yet, she's never gotten the proper respect outside the comics. Time to change that, Marvel. And given how the MCU films have a habit of boosting a character's popularity, I mean, look at the Guardians of the Galaxy. Before their movie, no one knew of them unless you were a hardcore comic fan. Now look at all the memes, cosplays, and Baby Groot toys out there. And hopefully this will help get her own comic series. She had a 2-issue run back in the day and has always been part of a team or been a background character, but it's high time Monica got her own series because she's like one of the most iconic Marvel heroes and she deserves it. And with that, I'm going to end this video. Next, I will be returning to my OC, Seraph, and going over some more details about his powers and the inspiration for his character and appearance. And I am excited to share with you all the new artwork for him. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Till next time, this is Veles-Sage. Peace and blessings to you all.